You won't believe how this prisoner escaped. And yes, every second of it was caught on CCTV. In a country known for its high security facilities and surveillance systems that never sleep, the last thing anyone expects is for a convicted criminal to walk right out of prison under the watchful eyes of dozens of cameras. But that's exactly what happened. This isn't a Hollywood heist movie or a fictional drama. This is real. Real prison, real footage, real escape. And it unfolded moment by moment in front of cameras that were meant to prevent it. The inmate, 37-year-old Marcus Hale, sentenced to 25 years without parole for armed robbery and assault with a deadly weapon. Considered a flight risk, Hale had been moved to High Ridge Correctional Facility in upstate New York, a facility known for its strict routines, tall perimeter fences, and a reputation of being escape-proof. Guards monitored every hallway. Infrared systems lined every wall. Each prisoner was accounted for every hour. High Ridge wasn't a place people escaped from. It was where you went when you had nowhere else to go. And yet, Hale managed the unthinkable. Somehow he slipped through the cracks of one of America's most secure institutions, and we have every moment on tape. Tonight, we'll show you what the prison cameras captured. Every corridor he crept through, every door he bypassed, every second the guards missed. You'll see it exactly as the security team did when they finally reviewed the footage. Only this time, we'll pause, zoom, and analyze every angle. Because what this man pulled off wasn't random. It was calculated, planned. Every step had a purpose. Every move had a window. And despite all the technology, the alarms, and the locked gates, Hale made it out without triggering a single alert, at least not until it was far too late. The escape began just after midnight during a routine shift change, a time when the night crew is settling in and the day crew is wrapping up. It's a vulnerable transition period, something inmates aren't supposed to be aware of, but Hale was. He had studied patterns for months, memorized guard routines, shift overlaps, even timed how long each hallway camera looped before refreshing. What he did next is nothing short of chilling. And thanks to the prison's full CCTV system, we're going to take you step by step through that night. From his first move in the cell block to the final moment he vanishes through a service tunnel no one even knew existed. But before we get to the footage, consider this. Hale had no outside help. No one cut the power. No one distracted the guards. No riots, no gunfire, no chaos. Just silence. And one man slipping through unnoticed. When the morning head count came up short, no one believed it. Guards assumed it was a miscount. They never considered that a prisoner, let alone Marcus Hale, had escaped. It wasn't until a camera tech reviewed a motion alert on a side exit that the truth began to unravel. And that's where we begin. In the next segment, we'll roll the actual footage, show you the precise moment Hale leaves his bunk, and walk you through how a convicted felon executed one of the boldest and quietest prison escapes in modern American history. You'll see how he used darkness, routine, and a deep understanding of prison systems to outwit them all. You'll see the same footage that left veteran wardens speechless and forced internal investigations across state lines. This isn't just a prison escape. It's a masterclass in manipulation, patience, and opportunity. The system didn't just fail. It never even realized what was happening. Until now. Stay with us. The footage you're about to see is real, unaltered, and it changes everything. The screen flickers. The CCTV footage rolls, time-stamped 12:03 a.m. The prison block is quiet, eerily so. Rows of steel-barred cells sit in complete stillness under the dull yellow overhead lights. In cell 218, Marcus Hale is lying motionless on his cot, fully dressed, eyes open. At first glance, it looks like he's just awake. But this was no case of insomnia. This was timing. At exactly 12:05, he sits up and swings his legs off the bed, pausing for 3 seconds before standing. He moves with complete calm. There's no panic, no rush. He walks directly to the cell door and reaches under his cot, pulling something small and dark, possibly a homemade tool, barely visible to the camera. In one smooth motion, he slides his arm through the bars and manipulates the lock. And incredibly, after just 14 seconds, there's a faint click. The door swings open, freeze frame, zoom in. Marcus Hale has just opened a maximum security prison cell without a key. Investigators later determined he had crafted a crude shim out of a discarded piece of metal cut from a ventilation panel. He'd been filing it down for weeks. He hid it inside his mattress, covering it with layers of foam and a sheet of plastic wrap to avoid detection during checks. Somehow it worked. Back to the footage. At 12:07 a.m., Hale slips out of his cell and begins walking. Not running. Walking. He moves low to the ground, staying in the blind spot between two cameras mounted high on opposing walls, a space the guards believed was fully covered. It wasn't. Hale had spent hours pacing the block, pretending to exercise, carefully measuring where the camera view began and ended. He found the gap. He memorized it. Now he was using it. He moves into the hallway, passing just 12 feet behind a security guard making his usual round. The guard never turns, never looks back. Cut to hallway camera 4B, timestamp 12:10 a.m. Hale is crouched beside a maintenance panel near the showers. This next move is critical. He slides the panel open with another hidden tool and crawls inside the narrow shaft, a utility corridor used by repair staff during plumbing emergencies. It's rarely checked, and the entrance isn't alarmed. The only camera that once watched this area was broken 6 months ago. No one bothered to replace it. This was the heart of Hale's escape plan, and it worked flawlessly. Inside the shaft, it's pitch black. He moves silently, using the faint glow from an emergency exit sign 2 floors below as his guide. Investigators later found that he'd traced the layout of the tunnels using a janitor's discarded notepad, pieced together from scraps found in a trash bin near the staff lounge. This wasn't improvisation. It was weeks, maybe months, of planning. At 12:16 a.m., he emerges from the maintenance tunnel near the prison laundry wing. There are no guards here at this hour, just bags of uniforms and dirty linens stacked shoulder-high. He slips on a janitor's jumpsuit taken from an unattended locker earlier in the week. Again, the footage confirms it. He doesn't hesitate. He knows where he's going. Now dressed as a worker, Hale moves down the rear corridor to a delivery door used by supply trucks. This door is monitored, but the camera is aimed too high to capture the ground-level keypad. At 12:21 a.m., Hale punches in a 6-digit code, an old access number once used by vendors and never deactivated in the system. He'd memorized it from a sticky note left on a guard's clipboard during cleaning duty. The door beeps, clicks, opens. He steps outside, freeze frame again. This moment is chilling. Hale, standing in the night air, beyond the prison walls, completely alone and completely free. The camera on the yard catches only his silhouette before he disappears behind the garbage bins and out through the service road, from cell to freedom in just under 19 minutes. It wasn't until 5:44 a.m., during routine roll call, that Hale's absence was noticed. Even then, the guards believed he had simply been transferred without proper documentation, a glitch that happens more often than it should. It wasn't until 6:12, when a night shift supervisor checked the security logs, that the footage was reviewed. And by then, Marcus Hale had a 6-hour head start. He was gone. Without noise, without violence. Just a man, a plan, and a surveillance system he used against itself. By the time the prison fully realized what had happened, Marcus Hale was already long gone. When the footage was reviewed in full and the escape timeline confirmed, the warden called an immediate lockdown. Sirens echoed through the compound. Every remaining inmate was double counted. Units were dispatched to every exit point. But it was all reaction. Too late to change anything. Outside the walls, Hale had vanished into the darkness, leaving behind nothing but security footage and 1,000 questions. The manhunt began at 6:47 a.m. Federal marshals were notified. Local police departments were given Hale's last known mugshot and a briefcase of information. Roadblocks were set up on nearby highways. A perimeter was established across a 50-mile radius. K-9 units were flown in. Drones swept the fields. Helicopters hovered overhead for hours. Still, nothing. Not a single trace of where he had gone or how he got there. He hadn't stolen a vehicle. He hadn't contacted family. He'd simply disappeared. The media caught wind of the story by noon. Headlines spread like wildfire. Inmate escapes High Ridge prison without detection. Caught on CCTV, the escape no one saw coming. Reporters gathered outside the facility's front gates, demanding statements. The prison administration held a press conference but provided few answers. The warden, clearly rattled, referred to the escape as a calculated breach and assured the public that all necessary steps were being taken to bring Hale back into custody. Behind the scenes, though, the situation was spiraling. An internal investigation was launched immediately, pulling in the state's Department of Corrections, cybersecurity experts, and private contractors. They pored over footage. They interviewed guards. They analyzed logs and digital access records. What they found wasn't just one man exploiting a single mistake. It was a system riddled with vulnerabilities. Cameras that hadn't been serviced in over a year, door codes left unchanged for months, maintenance shafts not inspected since the facility opened. Worst of all, a culture of routine and complacency that made it easy for someone like Hale to blend in, observe, and act without ever being noticed. Inmates later told investigators that Hale had kept to himself. He didn't stir trouble. He didn't talk much. But he watched constantly. One guard recalled how Hale used to ask simple questions during chores. How do they open that gate? Or, when's trash pickup? No one ever suspected anything. He wasn't aggressive. He wasn't loud. He was quiet, patient, waiting. As days turned into weeks, the urgency of the search faded from the headlines, but the impact inside the prison system did not. High Ridge's warden was suspended. 3 guards were reassigned. Policy reviews were initiated across the entire state. Other prisons began reevaluating their camera placements, staff routines, and emergency exit procedures. Hale's escape became a case study in correctional failure, a perfect storm of overlooked details, ignored warnings, and one inmate who used order as his camouflage. Even now, months later, Hale has not been found. Sightings come in occasionally, a gas station security cam here, a blurry traffic photo there, but nothing has been confirmed. He remains on the U.S. Marshal's most wanted list, and a reward has been posted for any information leading to his capture. But deep down, many believe he may never be caught. He didn't just escape a prison. He escaped predictability, surveillance, and assumption. He exploited a system that believed itself untouchable, and in doing so, he didn't just walk through the front gate. He left a crack in the very foundation of modern prison security, and the cameras, ironically, saw it all, but only after he was gone. Even now, the footage plays like a ghost story. Grainy images of a man walking calmly through a prison that should have held him until old age. Every time someone watches it, investigators, wardens, security consultants, they pause at the same moments. The open cell, the blind spot walk, the quiet exit. Each time, the same question lingers in the silence. How many others might be watching, learning, waiting? Because Marcus Hale didn't just slip through the cracks. He studied the cracks. He traced their outlines. He made them bigger, then walked right through them without ever forcing the door. His escape revealed something more disturbing than a single man on the run. It exposed the illusion of absolute control. Prisons in the United States are built on layers of authority, technology, routine, architecture, surveillance. But Hale's actions revealed that none of it means anything if the people behind it let their guard down. A system this large, this structured, becomes predictable, and predictability is exactly what smart people exploit. He didn't have to break the system. He just had to understand it better than the people running it. And he did, flawlessly. What makes this story so gripping isn't just the footage or the escape itself, but the silence of it. No riots, no alarms, no violence. Just a man walking through spaces where no one expected him to be. That's what shook the staff the most. Not that he got out, but that he did it quietly, deliberately, without ever being seen in the moment. It forced prisons across the country to ask the unthinkable. How many of our systems are just functioning out of habit? How many of our checks are performed just because they're on a clipboard? How many security measures do we blindly trust, assuming they work simply because they're there? Marcus Hale forced the system to look in the mirror. Some prisons have since replaced camera systems, others have retrained staff, updated entry codes, inspected maintenance shafts. A few even changed their daily schedules just to throw off any internal observers. But these are reactive steps, made in response to the one man who saw through the routine. The question remains, what about the next Marcus Hale? What about the one who's watching now, somewhere in another prison, memorizing routines, learning where the cameras don't see, waiting patiently for a window no one knows exists? For the public, Hale's escape has become a sensational story. Podcasts have dissected it. TV specials have dramatized it. Social media users have debated whether he should be admired or feared. But inside the walls of America's prison system, it's something else entirely. A cautionary tale written in silence and captured in black and white pixels. A reminder that the people we lock away are still thinking, still watching, still adapting. Marcus Hale may be gone, but the lessons from his escape remain. Real security doesn't come from cameras on walls or locks on doors. It comes from vigilance, from assuming that someone, somewhere, is always watching for the weakness you missed. Because sometimes the most dangerous inmate isn't the one who fights the system, but the one who understands it perfectly. And so, the footage continues to loop. Over and over. Officers watch it. Analysts review it. New recruits are trained on it. Everyone's searching for the moment it all could have been stopped. But the truth is, by the time they noticed what was happening, Hale was already gone. And maybe, just maybe, that's the part that haunts them most. In the months since Marcus Hale's disappearance, his story has grown far beyond the prison walls he left behind. What began as a shocking security breach has transformed into something bigger, a cultural phenomenon. His name now circulates in online forums, late-night talk shows, YouTube deep dives, and podcasts dissecting every second of the CCTV footage. To some, he's a criminal mastermind. To others, a symbol of quiet rebellion against a flawed system. Regardless of opinion, one fact remains uncontested. Marcus Hale did something extraordinary. He escaped a place designed to be inescapable, and no one has been able to reverse that moment. There's even a nickname now, the Phantom of High Ridge. It started on a Reddit thread that went viral and has since been picked up by several true crime YouTubers. Memes feature him disappearing into grainy shadows with captions like, "Be right back," or "Catch me if you can." Artists have even illustrated scenes from the CCTV footage, as if they were moments from a graphic novel. Low-lit panels of a lone man walking between walls, sliding through a hatch, vanishing into darkness. The irony is striking. The man who tried to disappear completely is now more famous than he ever was while behind bars. Law enforcement, meanwhile, has grown increasingly frustrated. Every false lead costs resources. Every copycat attempt at other prisons raises alarms. Every Marcus Hale fan theory or online conspiracy muddies the water further. There are dozens of theories about where he might be now. Some believe he's hiding in plain sight under a new identity in a small town. Others suggest he crossed the border days after the escape and lives anonymously overseas. One particularly persistent theory claims he's hiding in the woods within a national park, living off the grid with survivalist knowledge he picked up from books in the prison library. The truth. No one knows. And that's what makes the mystery so powerful. What's even more troubling for authorities is the impact his escape has had on prison culture. Inside facilities across the country, inmates talk about Hale in hushed tones. His escape is analyzed like a blueprint. They speculate on how he pulled it off and debate what they would have done differently. Some guards report increased inmate curiosity about shift schedules, door mechanisms, and camera positions. Administrators fear Hale's escape may have started something deeper, not just a security breach, but a psychological shift. He proved it could be done. He cracked the myth of invincibility. And then there's the moral debate playing out in public. Some people don't see Marcus Hale as just a fugitive. They see a man who beat a system that often fails to rehabilitate, that punishes more than it protects. He wasn't serving time for murder or kidnapping. He was serving for armed robbery. A violent crime, yes, but not one without nuance. Did he deserve to spend the rest of his life in a cell, or did the system lock him away and throw away the key too early? That's the question fueling countless op-eds and think pieces. Hale's escape has reignited discussion about mass incarceration, prison reform, and how America treats its prisoners. In a way, he's become an unwilling figurehead in a conversation he may never have wanted to lead. But make no mistake, Marcus Hale is still a wanted man. The U.S. Marshals have doubled the reward. A special task force remains on alert. Every known associate of his has been interviewed, tracked, monitored. Yet he remains out there, somewhere. Watching? Maybe. Planning? Possibly. Free? Undoubtedly. And until someone catches him, the legend only grows.